Dudes, this is what if Goku had trained harder. Redo. I know I already made something like this on my channel. It didn't really work very well, so I'm gonna redo it. Hold on a second, guys. Anyway, in this version, Goku is a little different mindset. When he hit his head, it didn't suppress his Saiyan rage. He's still just as angry as every other Saiyan, but he's still just as kind. He's got the anger of Bardock and the kindness of Gine. Well, I know people call her Gine, but I think it's pronounced Gine. So, Goku will not be the same kind of runt he was in canon. He'll be mopping the floor with almost everyone in Dragon Ball. And he actually makes a couple friends along the way. Tao Pai Pai as one of them. And most people forget about him because he's the guy Goku just kicked a grenade into the face of and then just ran off. But he didn't stop in Dragon Ball. Even after he got that grenade kick in his face, he got his entire body replaced with metal and was still doing the same exact stuff, same exact clothes. So, we know that Mercenary Tao is still the strongest, is still just as strong. In fact, he was strong enough that while he was terrified of Goku, he made regular people look weak, by far. So, at this point, y'all are wanting me to go on to the story, so I will. Goku, he still gets sent off planets, only in this version he was given a message and armor. He was given Bardock's armor, his iconic armor. I couldn't find a picture with Goku and Bardock's armor. I'll probably find one later. But anyway, Bardock sends Goku away with one thing of his armor, and it has something on it. The ship says something. My son, if you ever need it, my armor is here for you. It is for you and you alone, my son. As Goku knows that this is his dad, and he knows that this is his armor. Even in Dragon Ball, he doesn't wear the armor because he's too small. Well, I mean, he could wear it, but he doesn't. It's one of those kind of things. He could, but he doesn't. And Raditz, and there was something in the message saying, my son, I want you to wear this armor every day. As there's actually a matching set, but it's different. It's for a woman. As Gine said, when you marry, give the woman this. Yeah, I'm pulling all this out for no reason, but yeah. I'm going to say it was traditional Saiyan things to wear your armor when you get married. So yeah, I'm gonna say that. So, Bardock sent Goku off with his entire intentions of finding somewhere safe, even telling Raditz. They even told Raditz, last thing they said was, Raditz, Goku is on this planet. We need him to stay safe. I want you to look out for each other. And Goku in canon he wasn't given one, but he won't be given one this time either. He won't be given a scouter. They say how they didn't give him a scouter for any reason, so yeah. As Goku goes through the events of Dragon Ball. Until the King Piccolo fight, everything stays as Goku just dominates everyone. And then when King Piccolo happens, he just has to power up a little bit more than expected. Because Goku trains every day. And this is him as a kid. When he's supposed to be a little chubby kid, this is what he looks like. He's pretty thin, he's pretty strong. And he's already got a power level of 250. That's around double what it was in canon, so yeah. At this age, at least. At this point he's able to just mop the floor with King Piccolo. Until King Piccolo gets his youth back and gets a lot stronger from it. Goku knows that there's no way he could keep up. So he does something that he thought would be a last-ditch effort. He used his Saiyan mentality. His tail made it where it grew and made him a giant ape. He looked dead at King Piccolo as those two monsters, as everyone else saw, these two monsters were battling it out. Now, Tambourine, this is Piccolo's brother. This is Piccolo Jr.'s brother, to be more specific. So, Piccolo Jr., and I'm going to leave Tambourine alive for this, as an unexpected ally. Right before Goku was about to hit King Piccolo with a hit, and right before King Piccolo was about to end Goku with a single attack from a pressure point that was from wisdom. Yes, he's old, so I think he'll have enough wisdom to know a pressure point ever attacks. You hear, yeah, as a blast flies at King Piccolo, hitting him in the back. This directs his attention towards Tambourine, who's basically still throwing blasts at King Piccolo. As King Piccolo flies over to Tambourine, going to kill him, Goku launches a giant mouth beam that destroys King Piccolo. And that is how he fought King Piccolo. And then Piccolo Jr. happens a couple years later, and Goku's kept his training up. Instead of having a mere power level of 300 or something, his power level is already ranging at 500. Now, y'all might think this is way too much, but in this version, he's also been training with the Z Warriors. So instead of them being mere power levels around 200, they're all around 350. They're all about what Piccolo was, but when Goku and him fought Raditz, so they're already way stronger. And Krillin, he's actually developed kind of this warrior mentality, as in fight until he's dead kind of thing, because he's died already. Now, in this version, Tambourine, which is, as y'all know, Piccolo Jr.'s brother, probably one of the least likely people to join, but I really wanted him to join, and he didn't kill anyone in this version. It was actually King Piccolo who killed. So I'm going to say that he was actually afraid of King Piccolo, but when he saw the opportunity, he said, "I'm done," and actually started helping. He even apologized to Krillin and said he understood if Krillin wanted to kill him. And he did kill Krillin, and told Krillin if he wanted to end him, he'd be the only one that was allowed to, as it wasn't anyone else's place. Which, after that, Goku had said this: "If you want to die, why?" As he said, to make amends. But going back into the story, the part of it, Krillin says no. He wants him to get stronger, so he can just destroy him on the battlefield at the Tenkaichi Budokai. So there's a couple extra people. Now, they were all going to be meeting at Kame House, so Tambourine actually tries reasoning with Piccolo Jr., how they're brothers, and how he wanted Piccolo Jr. to actually join them to keep him safe, where they could keep everyone safe, and no one needs to harm the planet. Eventually, this actually gets through, because Piccolo's not a crazy monster. He was one, but not anymore. Eventually, after Goku knocks some sense into him real hard, 5 years pass of the Z Warriors constantly training. They said they had 1 year of not being around each other, instead of 5. No, I'm gonna say when Gohan was born, they stopped hanging around each other and actually said, "Everyone train as hard as you can, we'll meet at this date for Kame House," which everyone was fine with. Which I'm thinking sounds weird, but yes. After about a good 5 hours of training, after about the whole year of training, Goku's actually still got married to Chi-Chi, same way, at the Tenkaichi Budokai, fighting. So, yeah. While Goku did give her the same armor. He actually asked Bulma if she could make a set of armor smaller, if she could make another set of armor. Asking why, he said, "You'll see." And she actually made a second one of Goku's armor. She had trouble finding the materials to make it, but she did. It was just as sturdy and everything. This wasn't going to be for Goku, though. He gave it to Gohan, saying, "My son, wear this armor, and wear it with pride, for you are a warrior." Now, I'm going to say after a while, he knows he's a Saiyan. He doesn't know what that means. He knows he was found in a pod with this gear, and it's a message to him saying, "To my son," but it didn't talk about the Saiyans. It just talked about this being how he wanted him to have this armor and give another set to his wife. Eventually, he did. So he didn't even realize they were Saiyans. He just realized, hey, it's my family. That's all he knew. He didn't know that his planet was destroyed or any of that. They were really light about that. So they didn't tell Goku. So at the end of this, they all eventually are getting there. In this version, Tambourine is there. Piccolo said he was still not gonna come, but wound up doing so. So everyone's power levels at this point, well, they're all about 800 to 900. They're like 890 at bare minimum, except for Gohan. He had a power level of 1 when he had first arrived in canon. In this version, he's got a power level of like, I'm gonna give him a power level of 500, only because he's been training with Goku and Chi-Chi. In this version, Chi-Chi allows him to train as long as he studies. And Goku said he kind of has to study to get more smart. Which Goku isn't the brightest. He isn't the brightest bulb in the box, but he's still pretty smart. At least in this version, because I'm going to make him a lot smarter. So he's actually reading and doing all this with Gohan. So he's doing what he should. This is actually what he looks like at this point. So this is Goku. Now, he doesn't actually have all the bling. I will say that he does have the belt and the wrist things. He doesn't have all the tattoos because, Goku doesn't have tattoos. But these are all the symbols he's ever worn on his gis. And every different gi he's worn. And from every different gi he's worn. So, yeah. Just an example. And this is actually what he looks like. Okay, so I chose another picture because whatever reason. And now some slight differences are going to occur from what happened in canon. When Raditz jumps off his ship, and since his power levels, he finds that there's a huge cluster of power levels in the 900 range, and a couple 1400s. This would be Tambourine, Goku, basically everyone, but I mean Roshi is really the only 900. But everyone else is kind of lowering their power levels because they're all power levels around 1400. But Goku's just got one around 1600, and they said, let's not hold back. He checks again, and instead of it just being in the 900s, everything's already in the thousands. And I'm going to say Vegeta, only because there was not many Saiyans left, he chose to bring his brother. So, he chose to bring his brother to the thing and said, you go with him. Understood. Yes, sir. And in this version, those two had actually trained harder so they can actually become strong Saiyan warriors. Sounds crazy, but instead of Raditz being the mere 1,000, he's 1,500, and instead of him being 1,500, he's 1,750. So, the only one, as they actually wound up being slightly, as this is them before they've actually used the full extent of their power, Because I'm going to say Saiyans can just buff up, which is their full power, which is just them actually just going all out instead of holding back. And this is going to be with every race can do this, only Saiyans are just better at it. So, there's one thing that Goku has in the group that no one else seems to be able to do. That is his Kamehameha. The Kamehameha, well, it's actually pronounced Kamehameha. Well, there's Kamehameha, which Roshi created, but the Kamehameha is basically the equivalent of doing Kamehameha and then a ton of small little hand blasts that would be ha 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 as the noise they make when they're doing them. All of them start surrounding it to where it's just like a hit, and there's a ton of little rapid hits on them. So he says that it's basically a small key machine gun, but it takes a lot of energy to use. In fact, it takes more than 3 times the amount of the Kamehameha to do just around the same as much. Well, it'll still do about 3 times as damage, but you're using 3 times the key. If you're using the same key for each of them, they do the same amount of damage. Well, technically, if you're putting the same amount of key in the Kamehameha as you are for the other Kamehameha, they'll do the same damage, but the Gla part, which is the rapid fire, isn't the same. So, he doesn't often use this, mainly because it's unstable and he actually takes a lot of damage trying it, so he needs to train it more. But when Raditz and them kind of pull up, well, Raditz and Tarble pull up, they see that Goku's not weak. He's actually almost as strong as Tarble, as they all actually then proceed to take their weighted gear off, and instead of being only a match for those Saiyans, they're more than twice their strength. Each one has a power level of around 2,000, and they're all wearing heavy weighted gear that could barely lift their weight. And Bulma was just surprised, because she didn't even know she made something called she made something similar to the things the Saiyans wore, because Goku had something like that in his small space pod, which he already gave to Bulma to fix up. Not for any reason, just so she could see what it could do. And at this point, you hear she's already gotten a scouter thing. It's similar to the scouters in shape and look. Only difference is it goes over both ears and it's like a pair of glasses. It's like a pair of shades. And whenever she wears it, she can see the power level and what is their techniques, which makes it much better than the whole little scouters they have as Saiyans. All the Frieza Force has. And it doesn't have much of an upper limit. I mean, yeah, sure, someone like Frieza's full power would be weird, would like bust it because it's not ever done that. But if it could be it can be modified quickly to where it can handle higher power levels. It can go all the way up into around 100,000 at the moment, because that's all they've ever. Because Goku's full power is only times 10, so it's around 20,000 when he's in the Great Ape form. And Roshi, even in old age, he still trains, so he's nowhere near outdone. Even Yamcha could probably take on Raditz and Harble at the same time. So they give 2 of the weakest people there a chance. They said, "Everyone, I want you to fight." They said, "Guys, leave this to us." Which the people who said this was Tambourine and, of course, someone you probably would have expected me to use, Yamcha. I have nothing against the dude. I don't know why everyone does. But yeah, I'm using Yamcha to fight Raditz. Or Tarble. So, you guys are sure you can handle these guys? As that you see, they're both having power levels around 2,500. They both have power levels around 2,500, easily. So, they seem to make short work of them, in fact saying, "I think one of us could have done the job." As Goku said, enough, was they were both beaten and bloody, barely even able to do anything. Goku asked them, "Will you join us, or will you fight? Or will you stay against us?" As Raditz remembered what his parents told him, saying, "Brother, our mother and father told me to protect you at all costs, even my own life. I will join you." I can't say the same for this young prince. As he gets a senzu bean, Tarble says, "There will be 2 Saiyans. In 1 year's time, they'll be here. They're a lot stronger than either of us combined." He says as he seems to go down, as Goku just healed him up in his home, and actually found a way to heal him with the whole senzu beans. It wasn't really Goku's house, it was more of one Bulma made for him. It was actually called the Saiyan room. After figuring out Goku was a Saiyan, it's now called the Saiyan room. It took about 2 months for him to get this room made. Hold up. Okay, so I'm back. So like I was saying, it took about a full month for Goku to get the materials Bulma needed, because she actually needs materials. She was rich, so she had no problem getting them, but it's how heavy they were, and as much as she needed, and how difficult they were to break. That was most of the problem. She could afford it, but it was only in giant, huge bricks of it that not even the most advanced things could move, because of how heavy it was. This is when Goku asked the Z-Warriors if they could help him, because even he had trouble lifting it more than about an inch or two off the ground. And yes, they were able to lift it somewhat. At the end of it, you hear, "Guys, let's all do it together." And even one of them even Raditz asked, "Why don't we just use our grade ape forms to move it?" Because I'm not really at most control in that form. I have an idea. As they used the fake moon technique, they said, as Goku talked about a place where they can train a year's worth of training into a day, as Goku and Raditz said, "Come on, I'll teach you a technique, and you can get me stronger." At the end of their training, Goku has a power level of around 3,500. Because he had only had a power level of 3,000 before. This was a whole year's worth of training in 1 day, so yeah. They even actually edited the room where there's no limit on how long someone can stay in there. But they have to come out every single day. After 1 full day outside, they have to come back out. Now, Goku, he's the only one who can he literally just was mainly using the Great Ape form, trying to control it, less than training. But he was still training Raditz, so he's able to get Raditz up to where he's about a power level of 3,200. And just because he's hard to beat now doesn't mean much, because, well, Piccolo is already stronger than him with a power level of 3,255. He's only got 5 more than Raditz, but that's still something, because plot. As Piccolo could make very many copies. He can make copies of himself and use stretchy arms to slap people really easily. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, Goku, he's basically an unstoppable monster when let loose. At this point, they said, as they both are able to go into their form without worrying much. And Raditz even wonders, when they are going into their training, he said he had to grab some gear real quick. Wondering what that meant. He says, "Alright, whatever." He was expecting human gear, not to see his father's armor on Goku. And he even said, "My son can train with us sometime." And they already had edited everything about the Room of Spirit and Time, saying, does not require a lot of time to be in. Well, you could be in there for 1 full year, then you must come out of there. But you can repetitively go in there, and as many people as needed can go in there. Wondering by as needed.
It means that as many people as wanting to go in there can go in there and have the same effect of 1 year's training. Oh, makes sense. As the Z-Warriors actually kept training in the Room of Spirit and Time, all of them, at the end of it, Goku and Vegeta, well, not Vegeta, well, Goku actually and Vegeta are both looking into the stars. Vegeta is looking down, trying to find where he's identifying Earth to be. Goku's looking up to where he thinks, to where a straight line would be from where Raditz came from, at least where he said. He says, so there's where Vegeta's coming from eventually. Yep. And you said what his power level was? 18,000. Wow. And what was the guy who had the power level? You said there was two. What was the other one? 5,000. Mm-hmm. So in other words, either one of them could beat me. Yes. As Goku
realizing that he's a lot weaker than either of them, even unless he goes Ozaru, and they can both go Ozaru too. So he's kind of out of luck there, as he did remember a transformation he used as a child against Piccolo. He was going into the Great Ape form, but was in human. He was in the human form, but had the power of the Great Ape behind him at one point before he went to full Great Ape. This was called the Hakari form, otherwise known as Fury. It's a Saiyan's way of accessing it without using the giant monkey transformation. They have the same power, and even the humans are actually learning something. They find out about the whole Kaioken and all of that. And right before using Kaioken, as Goku basically not mastered it, he was able to go to times 4. As that's supposed to be, do not go over times 4. He'll probably go over times 4, is what was thought by King Kai, which Goku actually trained them in the same technique, going all the way up to 2, saying don't go beyond 2 unless you want to feel extreme pain. Now, even in 1, they're feeling some pain. Tien Shinhan is the only one who can really just master it real quick, quicker than everyone else, because his whole Tri-Beam hurts him so much. And he uses a lot of Tri-Beam, which hurts him a ton, so Kaioken is nothing new to him. So feeling pain when you attack is nothing new to him. But back to the whole story thing, Vegeta comes out of what feels like nowhere early. Goku is luckily on Earth at this time, and actually just finished teaching them Kaioken times 4, as he's going into times 5. Now King Kai is able to telepathy say, you can only go at max times 6 before feeling so much damage that you won't be able to move. Goku still eats senzu beans while he does this. At this point, Tarble had already been woken up, and he'd already gotten a power level, being that they were both badly injured instead of their Tarble, now that he was healed up, had a power level. This is gonna sound crazy, guys, but he had a power level of 4,000. When I say he got hit wrecked, it's an understatement. He got hit by a dang truck, as a toy car getting hit by a truck in comparison, and was given a senzu bean because he couldn't heal in under a year. It would take him a minimum of 2 years to recover from the beating he took. He was barely at the brink of life. Now, Goku had asked Bulma to make Saiyan gear for everyone, Raditz kind and his own, but different colored. So eventually she's able to make some for everyone. She actually has a Saiyan room made for the Saiyan's training in gravity. The materials are special because they're they're about as strong as any material could be. They make the armor look lightweight, and they can tank a Ozaru blast from Goku. Now, they could probably, if it was in the same city as when Nappa blew it up, it'd be the only thing remaining. Because Nappa couldn't blow it up very easily. Unless everyone was focusing their attacks on the walls, it would be a fine place. And the only repairs ever needed were probably a couple dent outs, which they could just take whatever sheet it was on the metal, and just say, Goku, bang this out for me. Which Goku just had to power up and start beating at it with a mallet to get it back in place. If you're wondering what I mean by beat it up, power up to do it, it's because how dense this stuff is. He could hit it with an Ozaru punch and barely do anything. He'd have to power up fully and hitting it with every force he had behind him to do anything. But back to where it is, the Saiyans all sleep. Actually, everyone. It's called the Z-Warrior Chamber instead. Everyone sleeps, fights, and trains, even eats in there. As it's got intense gravity, but there's two levels. You've got the gravity level for everyone, and you've got the no gravity level for everyone as well. The no gravity level is where they all live. The gravity level is where all the power and training takes place. It's a giant dome though, so it's not small. It's out on Mount Paozu. Now, Goku does learn spirit control, well, spirit bomb, but not very much of it, so he's only barely able to do one small thing about it. But anyway, back to what happens when Vegeta lands. Vegeta and Nappa land, blow up the same city. In this version, they detect 5,000. 5,000. There is 7 power. There is. Hold on, guys, give me a second. There is. There's 9 really strong power levels heading their way, and a 10th one seems to be there as well. But not heading their way, it's from another direction entirely. The 10th one is a power level of 7,000. Wait, scratch that. It's going up. It's 14,000. What is on this planet? As they're freakishly amazed and at the same time astonished as someone with power levels of 14,000 and multiple people with a power level of 5,000 are all here. Wondering what is on this planet and if they were wrong about it being weak. And is this what could have happened to Raditz and Tarble? Which, without a doubt, Raditz and Tarble are not weak in the slightest. They all have power levels around 5,000, but when they power up, it's all 7,000. Everyone clean across the board except for Goku is 7,000. And that's because Goku was going into a Kaioken. Which, not really, he wasn't actually going into a Kaioken, and this is everyone still suppressed. Though not Goku, as 14,000 is about everyone's power level. Everyone else is around 13,000, so, yeah. R.I.P. Nappa? Nah. R.I.H. Nappa. Rest in hell. Anyway, Nappa still is... He's completely overwhelmed by their power, as they each arrive faster than he can even see anything. Vegeta's only barely able to keep up with what everyone's doing, as so much people and so much speed. Eventually, Vegeta says, Nappa, they're too strong for you. You could lay down all the Cybermen. Which they were able to make around 20 of them. As in this version, there's a lot more. There's like 25 of these little suckers, and each one of them have a power level around 1,000. So they think they just got the numbers advantage. And they have the strength advantage at this point because of how many there are. As you hear, I'll take them on, guys. Y'all all worry about the little guy. I'll take Big Boy and all these little plants. Which, sorry about that, guys. Which, when he said this, a ton of them little plants, as he called them, the Cybermen, just started cackling and using what the Cybermen call a super transformation. As when you put the Cybermen and you put two together, you have a molten grenade kind of thing. As multi-grenade is what it's called when they both wrap around something and explode. Now, the only one who can't really use the power up of the only one who's going to be fighting them is going to be Yamcha. Everyone else just said, "What a waste of time." And Tarbell actually says, "Brother, join us. We can fight Frieza and win." As Goku knows who Frieza is, and he's still wearing his battle gear. Everyone's wearing battle armor. And each one of them seemed like they were using great battle armor. Now, Vegeta and Nappa don't both turn off their scouters. Only Vegeta has. And saying, "Sure." And then Frieza says, "You traitorous little monkeys. I will destroy all of you." And then Vegeta said something that was unexpected. He said, Planet Namek. Try it. We'll be there." Saying, "But you're at Earth. Why wouldn't I just go there?" As you hear, "Because we want to rip your throat out." As everyone turns their head to see who said that, it is the unstoppable androids. You might be thinking, wait, what androids? What do you mean androids? Chillax, dudes. It's just the original androids from Dragon Ball. The ones Goku befriended. In this version, it's, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's 1 through 8, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's just 8. As you hear, "Oh, who dare say that?" And in this point, no one really cares. He doesn't. Which, this version of Dragon Ball, this version has actually been training with Goku. And he's already got a power level. It's an android, yes, so it's pretty odd. But it's already a strong route as android. It's not really strong as the other androids, because it was originally one of Dr. Joe Strong's creations. But not anymore. Yeah, the androids are no longer a big thing. Well, they will be again, but his power level is around 20,000. Well, not 20,000. Actually, yeah. He's got a power level of 20,000 comparative to everyone else. He's equivalent to someone with a power level of 20,000 by far. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, I'm back. So, Goku is, at this point, seeing how far his old friend has gotten, training. And, yeah. When he says how far his old friend has gotten, he means really good, because the dude originally didn't have much strength behind him. He wasn't weak, but he wasn't exactly crazy overpowered. So, now, this android says, "Let's get the other androids. There's Dr. Gero we have to worry about. I have a feeling he'll do something, since he survived the attack on the Red Ribbon Army." Completely shocked about Dr. Gero surviving, he's actually amazed, but doesn't really care much. As he said, "Alright, well, we need all the hands we have. Well, we should probably train, but I'm not sure if we could." As Kami said, "Look out, everyone." And this is when, after everyone got ragdolled, and they just all made enemies of Frieza, so they're going to work together. Now, they wind up getting all to the, what's it called? It's a lookout, Kami's lookout. They land, and you have all of them just standing there. As Kami just walks up saying, "You need your power release to fight. This Frieza may be too strong for even you, Goku." As King Kai said, "Too strong indeed. Frieza's power level is over 500,000. I'm not good with voices, and I just messed, and my vocal cords are messed up, so that was the best I could do. Hold on a second, guys. Alright, so guys, I'm back real quick. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Frieza, at this point, he's enraged that these monkeys would dare stand against him, as Goku had an idea. They have Dragon Balls. They should wish for the revival of the Saiyans and them all to be brought to Earth. Only issue with that. Kami isn't strong enough to grant multiple wishes, as Goku says, if only the dragon could grant more than one wish. Kami said, about that, it can. What do you mean? It can, as long as the Namekian who is tied to it is strong. Well, what do we need to do to get you stronger so it can work? We need to train. As Goku has an idea. As he said, Kami, come on. As he actually got Kami into a set of regular fighting gi. But it was triple layered with 3 weighted shirts, 3 weighted wristbands, and 1 pair of really heavy weighted boots. Kami could barely even move in this stuff. Goku said, Room of Spirit and Time, let's go. Kami's barely even able to walk. Goku just picks him up and goes in there. 1 full 24 hours later, Goku walks out with Kami walking completely fine in the gear, in fact, even able to match Goku's speed, with a power level around 20,000. Yeah, so now Kami's actually a formidable opponent to almost anyone. If you're thinking, wouldn't it take more than a year to get Kami this powerful? No, he's completely weighted down, and they have multiple senzu beans to heal everyone. As at the end of it, everyone's pretty much unstoppable. Now, they still notice that even with all their power levels combined, they'd still get completely flicked away by Frieza's forces. Sheer numbers, they still have us way outmatched. In this version, there is someone else that we all know about in Dragon Ball Z. It is called Cooler. Now, Cooler, there is one more person that would be around Cooler. This person name is the person whose name it is was, well, how do I say it? Name. There's someone else. It's called Frost. I think it was Frost or Chilled or something. No, it was one of those. Anyway, Frieza, Cooler, King Cold, and them are all related. In fact, they're all his sons. You have Cooler being the oldest, Frieza being the middle child, and the youngest one being Frost. Now, the thing about them is that, what's the word? They are very powerful. Each of them around, Frieza in comparison, he's around the same strength as his father. Or even slightly weaker, or even a good bit weaker than his father. While Cooler is a good bit stronger than both of them. And Frost is the weakest one out of all of them, with us being slightly behind Frieza. Now, I'm not saying that they're all weak, but I'm not saying that they're really strong either. They're each around the same strength when fully powered up, with King Cold being a good 200,000 above everyone. Yeah, I'm just giving him that much extra power for no apparent reason. Since I forgot how strong he actually is. So, yeah. Now, they keep Now, in this version, Cooler, Frost, and King Cold all say will be there as well. Now knowing that there's 4 of the most powerful beings in the universe, they're going to have to fight. It's going to suck. He's thinking this as he says, well, that sucks. Knowing that he's going to actually probably get wrecked. Now, it's easy to say this, that they all think they're going to die. The Dragon Warriors, well, the Z Fighters are all there thinking each one of them have enough power to, but they don't think they can. What they choose to do is let Goku and Raditz, Nappa, Tarble, everyone, all the Saiyans, they used their transformation of Great Ape. Everyone had to be at least able to hold their own with the Great Ape, because in comparison, the Great Ape was a lot weaker than Frieza. So their entire training was getting destroyed by a Great Ape. This was everyone going back into. This was all the Great Apes happening, and everyone else going into base form, fighting all the Great Apes. Sheer number and power, the Great Apes basically just started dominating everyone until everyone was trained up enough to where they actually had enough strength to keep up with the Great Ape form. This doesn't really matter at all, so Roshi actually said, "Come on," as they all go into this room of spirit and time together. Goku saying, "What are we doing here? You're going to use your Great Ape form, but you're going to use it the way you did once before," as he's actually powering up into where he uses his Great Ape form in his base. The Hikari form, I call it Fury, because you're really angry when you do it. Because it's purely anger-filled. True. So what do? We train. And I'll get into their fight on the next part. Bye.